Yes, this is Bill Jones with recapturefederalism.com and also operationofficialmisconduct.com. Today's subject of my discussions or discourse has to do with the title, and is also the subject of ObamaCare, violation of the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment, which came in 1916, followed the process of the amendment situation. I'm not going to get into it too deep about the history of the 16th Amendment and all the violations of it that we have in our regular taxing system. I'm going to limit it to just the Obamacare situation. The 16th Amendment is one of the easiest to understand, one of the most simple amendments that we have of the whole group of them. It's real simple. We hear often about the different taxing systems, and we should have a value added and flat tax, or just keep what we have and just modify it. Well, the basic fact is, when I read it here, you'll see the 16th Amendment, if followed, is a flat tax. And it reads as follows, Amendment 16. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration. That's it. Pretty basic. Now, Obamacare, the Supreme puppets, the Supreme Court justices and the Chief Justice, reviewed and made a determination that Obamacare, and I'm using not the official name of the act, I don't think anybody knows it, even the people that passed it know the real name. It's Obamacare. To me, the Obamacare should have been found unconstitutional because Obama violated the separation of powers. I won't get into that, but they went ahead and they looked and made a determination that Obamacare was constitutional, that it in fact was a tax. Now, it's a direct tax then. And for it to be a direct tax, it would have to be an income tax. I don't see where they get it. It's an income tax. But they said it was. And I don't really understand why they even made a determination. How can you determine whether a law is constitutional or unconstitutional when they haven't even completed the law itself? They're still making regulations, which are supposed to be part of the law. For it to be the supreme law of the land. Well, they haven't even completed the law. Like Pelosi said, you got to pass it before you know what's in it. Well, we don't even know what's in it yet, so how can it be decided that it's constitutional? But they went ahead and did that. And we'll get into this. It's from incomes from whatever source derived, okay. I don't know, what sources they're talking about, but they have decided that because it's going to be handled by our favorite people, the IRS, who look how they handle the rest of the taxes and all these different things that they have broken off. There are these special groups and everything, and how they discriminate against people. But it's against all taxes from whatever source. Then they condition it, don't they? They condition it. And we'll get into these conditions. It's without apportionment, and we'll talk about apportionment among the several states. Without apportionment among the several states, important. And without regard to any census or enumeration. So we're going to talk about apportionment, and when we talk about apportionment, we'll talk about allotting or allotments, because that's part of the apportionment, and without regard to any census or remuneration. And we'll talk about specifically census, and here it says or, but we'll be talking about remuneration also. And here we're going to talk about apportionment, mentioned in the 16th Amendment. And what is that? It's the act of apportioning, the condition of having been apportioned. Then you go down there to 2B, allotment of direct taxes on the basis of the state population. Now here they're supposed to, without apportionment among the several states. And what are they talking about right away? They're apportioning among the several states through the allotment of direct taxes on the basis of state population. Let's just talk about allotments or allotting. Now, the amendment doesn't talk about allotting or allotments, but it does talk about apportionment. Well, we come down here to the verb of allotting, and it's to divide or distribute it by share or portion, distribute or parcel out a portion, to appropriate for a special purpose, to assign as a portion. Now, they're not supposed to do any of that under the 16th Amendment. And what does Obamacare do? They have state exchanges. They have subsidies by state. They're going to be allotting money to different states and different exchanges. It's a complete violation. They're not supposed to do that according to the 16th Amendment, but there they are. They're doing that. A direct tax. And they're allotting it out by states. Next, they're talking the second conditions without regard to any census or remuneration. And now we come up to census. What's the definition of census? It's an official enumeration of the population with details as to age, sex, and occupation. In ancient Rome, and they were a republic, the registration of citizens and their property for purpose of taxation. And the verb, of course, is to take a census of the country, which we're supposed to do by constitutional direction every 10 years. Now, here they go. What is Obamacare? They're taking an enumeration by population. They're exempting people. They're counting people. They're not supposed to do that with a direct tax. And lastly, we have enumeration. They show census or enumeration. You're not supposed to do either one of them. And they're very similar, but also different. And that's why they have it separately when they did it in the early 1900s. What is enumeration? It's an act of enumerating, making separate mention or recounting. A detailed account in which each thing is specially noted. A recapitulation in the, that's a different thing there, so I won't mention that. But here you are with Obamacare. They come along and they're counting heads and people, how much they're making, where they're at. The allotments and the share is going to go out to each state differently. It's completely turning the 16th Amendment on its head. And it in effect, which is what I really always talk about, we have a crime being committed here by the officials, the senators and the congressmen, and it's a state level also because they're allowing it to happen. The supremacy of the Democratic Party pushing this through. It's a crime. It's official misconduct. and it needs to stop. We're going to have to do something, and I think we will be shortly. I'm working on public policy uh, for the people, for political reformation, and that's what we need. We need to reform the entire system.